Okay, I'm going to go over the next part of making my trays that I make for folks. And this is the resin part. And this is a beautiful outcome for this cheese tray, or whatever you want to use this for. The particular client that I have these are going to use them for canisters, but it's a lot of work. So I'm going to go through the steps and possibly pause on some of the sections where it may take me a little bit longer, but I want to give you as much information. There's a lot of videos out there on how to resin, so I don't want to bore you on some of those, but I did want to take you through a whole process of a tile through the pouring of the acrylic paint through the resin, and how I sand the back and get them ready to ship out to the people who are going to purchase them. Again, this is a tile that I got from Lowe's, and this one ran about $1. I did the acrylic pour on the top. I have 2 of them, and the reason is the client wanted a certain particular color. When I showed her this one, she had indicated that she wanted more beige than the white, so I did a second one. And this is the actual one that I'm going to also resin that will go to the client. But this first one with the white in it was the one that I did the video on, so I'm going to go through that. I use for these cheese trays the art resin, and the reason why is the art resin is FDA approved. It is a non-toxic, and I like the fact that it doesn't have a smell to it, and that it is considered one of the, well, to me it's one of the easier resins to work with, but it's also one of the safest resins to work with. I do have my room ventilated. You don't see, but I do have a fan blowing through here. I like the room ventilated anyway, just even though it is non-toxic. I double glove so that when it starts to get messy, I can take one glove off and I've got another on. So I do double glove. I glove pretty early in the process. I learned that because resin is very sticky, and that's the quality of it. So there's different ways you can measure it out. You can measure it in any, in measured cups. I just am using 2 cups, not a lot, because I just want to do this tray and the other one right now. But I put little Sharpie markers on the cup to tell me equal 1 to 1. So I have the right measurement, and actually to even do a double check, I poured water in one, poured it in the other, and it came to the line, so I know I do have equal amounts. But equal amounts is critical for resin to set properly. So I'm going to mix one of the parts into the other. Another way a lot of people do this is to use 1 cup, so you're not wasting a lot of cups, where they will measure it out and put the marks on their resin cups. So there'd be like two Sharpie markers on here, 1 for the hardener, 1 for the resin. And I just used 2 cups because I wanted to show you the process. So we're putting the resin into the hardener. No, doesn't have to be the other way around. I don't think it matters. It hasn't mattered to me so far. So now we have both parts. Another trick I learned, and this is from watching the video Artists Till Death with Eric and Jeff, is using 91% alcohol and saturating. This is a lint-free cloth. This keeps the stickiness down. So I have found that this is incredible to wipe your gloves off on, to keep your torch from getting resin, because it will actually get resin shut. Just keeping your environment non-sticking. Now, this process takes 3 minutes and I will get it started. that I will probably cut out part of the video. But the important thing is just keep the sides scraped, keep the bottom scraped. It's gotta all be mixed in. There'll be a few little bubbles that pop to the top. Now this is thick, so stirring this gives you some muscles, and there's a couple bubbles popping up. But again, this is non-toxic, and I have ventilation in the room here. So I will probably turn the video off, and you'll come back when I'm done. So I'll see you back in a few minutes. We are back. Now, this took a while to mix up, but it is thoroughly stirred. Another thing about the art resin, I have found it gives you a longer time to work with, but I tell people that purchase these to actually give them a good month before you put anything really heavy on them. I put a little note in when they buy them and tell them to not cut on them, not to do anything sharp on them. They're beautiful and you know, they're great for serving, but I tell people not to cut on them because you can cut it. And I also tell people to avoid putting it in the sunlight for about a month, and just as a normal practice. But I tell people that the art resin is soft. While it's great, a good month it becomes unsticky, and then when you put things on it, I've even done coasters where I put a cup on it, and even up to a month sometimes when I pull the cup up, there's a little suction. So that's kind of just a rule of thumb. So this is ready, and basically what I do is just pour the resin on. It's a nice coat. Depending on, most of the time I may only have to do one coat. Sometimes I will do two. I don't mind doing two. You can do, if you want, probably a coat underneath of a different type of resin. I don't know why you would, but I don't think it would matter to mix the two. I haven't tried it. I think there's actually some videos out there that are mixing two resins to see how they react. I normally just get my fingers in here and just go through and rub the resin on. You can feel it actually where there's a spot. Now I've cleaned this with Dawn soap and water to get any of the silicone, if I've put silicone in my pores. If I'm going to do these trays, a lot of times I will not do silicone. It just is harder and there's a lot more process. And I will have a video on some canvas where I actually have had to go through the process because there was so much silicone on it that I'm going to have to do another coat. Now this is pretty much, I can feel it, it's covered. And I do go through and I do put it on the sides. Now you'll get drips underneath, and I'll show you how I get the drips off from underneath. I used to tape these, but if you don't get the tape off, you have to, you know, it takes a little bit while to get the tape off. But you're going to want to go through periodically and just pull the resin off below. And you're just going to want to babysit it for a couple hours. This is a freezer paper that I use. Actually underneath it is a black tarp. It will peel right off of the black tarp, but I just put down some freezer paper that I can throw away. And if you are, I use freezer paper for a lot of reasons, for a lot of things. When I do my acrylic pours, because I can save the skins. Now at this point, I can take one of those gloves off. Of course, I have my alcohol here, and I'm going to torch. And the reason why you torch is you want to get, there's going to be bubbles in here and you'll actually see the bubbles pop away. So I go through real finely. Again, I don't smell an odor. If someone has a real sensitive nose, you know, they might smell a little bit of odor, but I have a fan in here. This is a large room. It's opened, so I have a fan blowing. Let me see if I can get my light out a little brighter. Yeah, it's kind of a rainy day in the Washington, D.C. area today. So it's got an overhead light on, but I do a lot of my videoing downstairs in my studio. This is actually upstairs in a well-ventilated room, a little bit more ventilated. Okay, I feel like I have all the bubbles gone. I think I see one right here. There is another bubble. So you can go through and just kind of, oh, there's a couple that I'm popping. You don't want to burn the resin, so I try not to get too close, but I feel, oh, there's another bubble. It keeps coming up. So what that might be, and you know, I have my second glove, is just a spot that maybe be giving me a little trouble here. So I actually did not have a lot of resin left over, so it was pretty on target with how much I put on here. So I'm going to go around again with my finger, just try to pull off what's dripping. And I pulled some more resin up to that spot. I'll pop the bubbles again. That seemed to help. So here's a couple little bubbles that keep wanting to come back for some reason. But we'll watch it. If all else, a second coat, we can put a second coat, which is okay, especially when this is for a client. I don't mind putting a second coat if I need to, because some of these edges looks like bubbles want to come back. And it could be when I washed it with the Dawn soap that maybe this particular tile did not get as dry and may have some moisture. So we're going to let that sit, and I'm going to bring another tile over. This is the actual tile that is going to go to the client, and I'm going to move this over to my other area. Take a look how beautiful this is. It's got some golds in it, and I'm going to just do another torch. Off camera here. Okay. I'm going to put another glove on and do the second tile. A little sticky because I put it over the other glove. So let's give this a little stir. And I'm going to put some more on. Do the second tray. I've sold a lot of these trays, and I did them really as gifts to start out for people. They were not meant to be, I'm an abstract artist and I do large abstract paintings, and I do them for stagers, and I do them for people with large homes, and I have a studio, outside studio in a community, and I have a studio in my home. So doing these was meant for gifts, but they became so popular that I had some of my clients that have bought my art and some others that have requested them. And I like making them, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're a piece of art in themselves. I have several sitting around my house. I put them out when guests come, or just put them out. I have one in my bay window, a real thin one. I think it's a 6 by 24, and I use that for plants to protect the wood in my bay window. It's beautiful, and it's got the blues in it. All right, I think this is at a point. Sometimes I get a little resin rash where I touch my skin, just sensitive, and it goes away. All right, we're gonna pop the bubbles again. And I try to move fast so that I don't want to ever burn the resin. And it could be in that other one, that spot that had a little trouble. I may have gotten too close. And sometimes it's the best thing to do. Now with this one, I actually see could be a little hair. So resin is almost like a magnet for dust. And what I call, where I put my resin pieces while they're drying, is I call it a resin coffin. And it's completely closed in area to keep the dust and dirt